Hey guys and girls, hope you're all doing well. I am bored now, and this is going to be my thoughts on the opening couple of episodes of the new series of Euphoria, the HBO Sam Levinson show. Obviously, I was pretty positive on season 1. You can find all my season 1 reviews on this channel. I also did the two specials, which were kind of like the in-between gap between the first and the second season. So the second season sort of back in full now, and obviously those two episodes that they had, the specials, particularly the Rule episode, really were quite impactful and emotional. And it's sort of now we're sort of back for the new year, if you like, and the opening episode takes place on New Year's Eve at this party. It all builds to this party where everyone's getting together, but you sort of get a reverse style thing where we actually start sort of, I think I was a bit confused about this, but I think it's before the party, but you sort of see Rule with hanging out once again with drug dealers and still in that sort of life. And then later on they sort of end up at the party and stuff, and it sort of shows that Rule still has a long way to go and still is fighting the battle. And you get the various character drama at this party, and you get the sort of beforehand, and it does the whole Euphoria thing of following this random sort of character who's the brother of the sort of main drug dealer at this thing. And again, you get a lot of sort of oh, this is so edgy, bad taste sort of stuff, and these sort of weird sort of scenes with this drug dealer who is kind of an asshole. He's the guy who owns the house, and he's getting them to all strip down, and so that he can make sure they're not wearing a wire and stuff. And so it was a bit hard to get a handle on the first episode. As I said, it's all at this New Year's Eve party, and there's stuff going on with Cassie and Nate, because they're both sort of come out of relationships. Cassie's left her relationship and is kind of alone and getting drunk. And then Nate has he's no longer with Maddie. And then there's sort of stuff going on where he consoles her, and they end up having sex in the bathroom at the party. And you've got Maddie looking for him, or she goes to toilet at one point and he's in there, and there's sort of drama there where he he's telling, he doesn't want obviously her to find out, so he's Cassie, sort of keep it under your hat. And there's this extended sequences of Cassie hiding in the bath basically, and at different points characters come in, and Cassie's obviously doing her best to hide, and it's some sort of tense stuff. I mean, as I said, hard to get a handle on the first episode because it was a lot of incidental character drama, not too much going on. You obviously have this slow burn to Rule and Jules meeting again, but one of the big plot lines in the first two episodes is you almost have a love triangle style thing with Nate and with Cassie, and sort of with Maddie, because Nate kind of plays up the thing of it was a mistake what we did. And even at the same time, he when he's in hospital later, which I obviously talk about how he got there, but he starts fantasizing about a life with her, and they set up quite a lame sort of love triangle where he's kind of telling her we shouldn't have done what we did. I mean, Nate and his whole Bret Easton Ellis self-indulgent mystery man sort of streak has sort of run its course. I think it's sort of lost its sort of appeal or mystery, but that's a big like melodrama in the first couple of episodes of the season. I think obviously if there is a heart to the show and if there's like a character outside of Rule, I think who you really get attached to, for me it is Lexi. I mean, she is such a sweet-natured, kind person and very like smart and grounded, and she takes a bit more of a centre stage because she actually starts talking to Fez at this party and they hit it off, and it's actually like not just a nice conversation where they're getting to know each other, but it's actually like a really like intelligent, grounded human conversation between them when they're talking about the whole religious thing, and because Fez is saying how he's a man of God, and yet she sort of brings up the whole drug dealer thing and then mentions that she's Jewish. And there's this whole it's a nice sort of like smart conversation between them, but at the same time there's a charm to it, there's a wit to it, where they're like engaging each other and enjoying each other's company. And you know, she really is kind of the heart of the episode, and then it turns kind of more sinister at the end because of basically Fez beating the crap out of Nate, and that's like this, like the turnaround in energy of that scene is quite well done, because the way it happens is he wishes Nate a happy new year, and Nate's like, well, last time you saw me, didn't you say you were going to kill me? And he goes, yeah, but it's a new year. But then he swerves him and basically almost pulverizes him to death, which is how Nate ends up in the hospital. And of course they bring up the whole thing about last season with Nate's dad seeing Jules sort of thing, and that obviously people in school found out, including the drug dealer, including Fez, which is why this stuff started to happen. So obviously it went a bit sour a little bit because of Lexi seeing what happened and that sort of brutal side, and they follow that up in the next episode where she's sort of sticking up for Fez, but obviously she's shocked at what he's done sort of thing, and at one point her father like follows her to like the store that he runs, and you get this quite tense scene. But yeah, I think the show has lost a lot of its soul, and I think it is starting to feel like more exploitive and just shock value. And obviously the music again is really good. I mean, the soundtrack to this show is such a standout, and there's plenty of style and good direction and obviously good performances. Sedano is obviously once again on point, and I think it's just a little bit repetitive with her and Jules now, because it's like they fell out of love and now they're back in love, and it doesn't really feel like they've given like a compelling enough reason for them to like really be that attracted or to keep coming back to it. But there's some lighter moments, you know. There's like a fun sort of like moment because like Rule has started hanging out with this guy Elliot, who she like hangs out and gets high with, and he was like getting high with her at the party. So when they're back at school the next day, she's panicking about obviously Jules finding out that she's back on the drug, and in the end he's quite cool about it and doesn't mention it, but it becomes this whole thing. But that's actually quite a funny scene because of Rule's like voiceover. And the other like sort of really funny scene is the cat sort of, because obviously she's like fantasizing of a bit more of a spicy relationship, I guess I'll say, with her boyfriend. And so she has this fantasy of like this Game of Thrones style character, you know, sort of like coming in, killing him basically, and then having his way with her type thing. So that was obviously a lighter moment, but then you do get some kind of in your face stuff with Kat, and like the whole mental health thing and people around her. And I think generally it just feels like the show has got a bit repetitive at this point, and that, you know, kind of everyone, the majority people are like just, you know, kind of exploitative, kind of slimy, or it's so sort of in your face with like the sexuality, and just, you know, shocking for the sake of it in many ways. And I think it sort of is getting a bit repetitive and not so easy to care anymore about the characters. It really is a struggle. Obviously, Lexi is definitely the most the most likable, most interesting. I would say Rule probably alongside one tidbit which we learn in episode 2 is actually them Rule, or Lexi, sorry, had a thing for Rule, because there's just like this little scene, like, which is a flashback, where the whole theme is that Lexi maybe is a little shy, isn't always the bravest, and we see there that she's meant to have had like a crush on her, and then is too afraid to ask her out type thing. But obviously there was stuff in season 1 where she was sort of trying to be supportive to Rule and helping her out with her whole like issue and stuff. So there is an insight that Lexi actually, you know, had a bit of a thing for her, or maybe has it. And obviously you fear a bit for Lexi moving forward because of Fez's like unstable life. You know, generally he's a good guy, but obviously he is involved in some murky stuff, and you know, obviously he lost it with Nate. But I think Nate's an example of a character where it's kind of hard to care anymore, because like I think there was a mystique to his character in the first season, and it just feels like now it's sort of gotten a little bit repetitive with him. But that's sort of my summing up of the first 2 episodes. You know, the first episode was okay. The second episode had its moments, but overall, I think it's in danger of like going a bit too stale, and you know, then the soul of the show has maybe been lost a bit. There's obviously plenty of style, but yeah, a little bit style over substance, which it sort of was anyway. But I feel at least with the first season there was a freshness, and there was a bit of an edge, and a bit of you know, relatability and caring about the certain characters, I'll say anyway. It's a bit harder to do that now, but we'll see where it goes. Obviously Lexi is one I'm definitely rooting for in this one. I hope things don't end up bad for her. That really would suck. So that's my thoughts on the opening 2 episodes of Euphoria Season 2. Let me know your thoughts if you've been watching in the comments below. Please like and subscribe. You can share me out on social media. You can also support me with just a little bit of money, as little as $1 a month, on patreon.com/borednow. But I'll be back with more Euphoria soon. Thanks for listening, and goodbye.